Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to the Life Makeovers podcast. I am so happy you're with me today. And I'm really excited because I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Dr. Raquel Muller, and she is a trained psychologist, financial educator, coach, and motivational speaker. And she harnesses the power of psychology and personal development, spirituality, and financial education to empower others, especially women, to pursue their physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial well-being so they can bring their highest contribution to their families, their communities, and to the world. An engaging and inspiring speaker, Dr. Raquel has been invited to speak at many women's organizations, including the Junior League of Portland and Eugene, Mom-Owned Business, the Soar Optimists, and various chambers of commerce in the Portland area. She has also been featured in several podcasts and TV presentations. Dr. Raquel offers educational content on money topics, as well as support for professional and entrepreneurial women who want to gain control of their financial destiny. Born and raised in Panama, Dr. Raquel has been calling the Pacific Northwest her home for the past 10 years. She is happily married for 26 years. Congratulations on that. And has 2 teenagers, a dog and a bunny. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with girlfriends, dancing, eating out, wine tasting, hiking, and playing drums. Welcome, Dr. Raquel. Oh, wow.
Thank you so much. I was like, what's she talking about?
Yeah, that's you. That's you, lady. That's you. So I invited you here. Thank you so much for being here. But I invited you here because, of course, you know, my main audience is women in midlife, 40s, 50s, 60s, however they define that for themselves. But one of the issues that I think is really prevalent in, you know, all ages of people, but in midlife, there's some unique issues with that is financial concerns, worries about the future, maybe some regrets from behavior up until now, just and extreme circumstances sometimes that really add to those challenges. So I really appreciate you being here to have the conversation with us about money. So thank you. And wow, what else would you like to say?
I would say that I would like to say that I'm thrilled to be here. And I too am in that midlife stage of life. It's hard to believe, you know, but I still feel like I'm 30 something. And you know, I see this period of life as a one in which the best years are still ahead. You know, we have half of our lives to live. I plan to be around until 100. So,
Yeah,
you know, right. That's quite a few years yet to, you know, do incredible things. And I would like to say to everybody, if you're feeling, don't buy that crap about over the hill, right? I sure hope that none of y'all are looking or thinking about yourselves in that manner, because we are here for a long time still, and we have so much to contribute in that, and so many cool things that we can do. So that's my invitation right off the bat.
Well, I love that you said that, because that's one of my things too, is there is this myth that, you know, we're all too old, it's too late. And as another recent guest on this podcast, Sue Brightman, said, old, gray, going away. We're not old, we're not gray, you know, we're not going away. That's the old paradigm. And there's a newer one now that we really, you know, you and I both believe in, of course. We're planning our 100th birthdays, you know, 40, 50 years in advance. And because we really believe
Right.
that is very possible. So if we, no matter what state we're in financially in our midlife, there's still plenty of years to change that scenario if we don't like what we're seeing, right?
Absolutely. And actually, to be quite transparent, for me, when I encountered financial education, I was already in my late 40s. And I was
Oh,
like, okay, why didn't I learn the stuff before? I wish,
mm-hmm.
somebody had taught me. I wish,
Sure.
I hadn't spent so much time in school and not learned that. I don't regret my time in school, but it's like, I wish that would have been part of my education. But, one of the things that I realized also is, okay, well, I still have quite a few years ahead. However,
Mhm.
I don't want to work until I'm 100. I would
Right.
like to have more time off and go do some more traveling and some
Sure.
volunteering and, just more free time, right? Freedom, I think ultimately is what it's about. And so I realized, I have an opportunity right now to do something different. And one of the things that I chose to do is to go into the financial realm, knowing that it's an opportunity for me to do something that is meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
impactful in the lives of others. And at the same time, I have the opportunity to earn a good income and generate passive income. That was the other piece.
Oh, yes.
That was
Pat.
really right. And guess what? This industry and so many other industries, right, are needing more of us showing up and like bringing our ideas, bringing our, problem solving
Mm-hmm.
strategies, right? And so there is an opportunity for us to do, things that we maybe didn't consider before.
Yeah.
Um, so there is
Wow.
an opportunity to create more income for ourselves.
Mm. Well, and I feel like what you're saying, your messages here is, it's not too late for us to learn new things. It's not too late for us to consider even new career paths or ways to, work within our finances to really grow and so forth. And so we've got to stop thinking that who we've been up until right now is it. That's the end of the story. And we're just writing it out from here. But rather, we can really take charge of ourselves, really, open ourselves up to the possibilities if we want to.
Hence the midlife makeover.
Right, the midlife makeover. You got it, girl. That's right. That's exactly it. It's so true because, and what I mean by that, of course, isn't just, I mean, if people want to go get a makeover, new hair, new makeup, new clothes, lose weight, have surgery, whatever they want to do, that's their business, no problem. But my makeover is a makeover from the inside out. And so that's part of what we've already talked about, Raquel, is that changing our mindset, changing our thoughts about what it means to be at this age and stage in our life and what we've learned so far in life or what we do not know that could really be empowering for us financially and in other ways as we just keep going. So with all of that, what do you think people need to know to feel empowered by their financial life from midlife on instead of scared or worried or stressed or like where do we really need to go in our minds to get in a secure or financially free state, do you think?
Yes, I love this. Well, the first thing to remember is, and I don't know, maybe this needs to be an affirmation, right? It is never too late. It is never too late. As long as we have breath
Mm,
and we have this, we're able to
mhm,
think and create,
mm,
and we get to be who we want to be.
mm,
Our life is not over. Far from it, right? I
mhm,
mean, and we all know some people in their 90s and beyond who are
yeah,
like still doing awesome things, right? That we can look for to those people as examples
mhm,
of what is possible for us, right? Particularly if we take it to heart right now, the idea of loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because when we do that, we're able to age in a way that is healthier,
Mm-hmm.
right? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, which means that we're going to be around longer and have quality of life. That's also very, very important. So when it comes to the finances, part of it is, again, it's not too late, but also it's, okay, what can I do now
Yeah.
to
Yes.
change the trajectory that I've been on up until this point? What
Yes.
is the opportunity that is present before me that I
Mm-hmm.
can take? And one of the things that we can do is to start having more conversations
Mm.
about this topic, because I think we've been brainwashed into, oh, that's not polite, to talk about money. It's not
Yeah,
ladylike.
right.
It's
The taboo
right.
subject.
Not
Yeah.
cool. But guess what? But that's part of what's made it such a taboo, right? And it kind of keeps us in that, it's stuck in shame, really, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, I've made some mistakes in the past that I'm not proud of when it comes to
Right.
money stuff, so I'm not gonna talk about it. Like,
Yes.
hush,
Right.
hush. And I think that goes along very well with the whole idea of self-love, right? Is and being
Mhm.
self-compassionate, right? Like, yes, I've made some mistakes. Part of that is A, how I was raised,
Mhm.
B, the societal messages that we receive constantly,
Concept.
and C, we were not taught about how to make money decisions. And if you think about it, right, like, little boys are encouraged to invest and be more risky when it comes to money, and girls are taught what? Oh, well, you got to pinch your pennies, you got to save, you got to clip the coupons, you got to be frugal, blah, blah, blah. And
Wow.
it's like, so it's kind of starting to unlearn some of those messages as well. I think that's part of
Wow.
that makeover. um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and again, seeking out education, because guess what, this whole money thing, it ain't rocket science. We may
Mm-hmm.
feel like it is, but guess what? That's one of the things that I discovered. And I'll tell you, full confession, right? I went all the way to a PhD and I felt dumb when it came to money. Dumb.
Wow. Wow. Well, like you said, we're just not raised to learn this stuff. It would be great if it was school curriculum all the way, just like math is and history is, science is.
Exactly.
I always think that too about relationships, communication, and oh, wouldn't the world be different if we all grew up with some of those skills that help us in our relationships and our personal development.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go down to bare bones for a minute, if it's okay with you. Like I love the empowering thoughts, that we've shared too, and we've seen great examples of people aging beautifully and still rocking and rolling in their lives in any way they wish to, and traveling the world if they wish to, or be, really financially secure. And then we hear the heartbreaking stories about people who are choosing between their medication and their groceries. So, what do we do now as we are still maybe people working for an income, or we have money to invest, or just what is some of the basic things we can think about or do to make sure we're not, as much as we're able, that we are not in that position someday going groceries or medication, which one?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know?
think it's going to boil down to creating a plan.
Okay.
A plan that allows us to meet our goals as
Mm-hmm.
much as
Mm-hmm.
possible,
Mm-hmm.
and but also prevent those the kind of scenario that you're describing. And
Yeah.
the time to do that is now, right?
It's
Because if
now.
we just put the blinders on and
Mm-hmm.
hope that nothing bad is going to happen, guess what?
Right. Right.
Right, we're kind of setting ourselves up, shooting ourselves in the foot, if
For
you will.
sure. Because we
And
don't know
so,
what we don't know.
well, that's it. And so part of it is starting to formulate that plan. And so when I work with people, I navigate them through what we call at WealthWave, we call it the 7 money milestones. That
Okay.
includes being a constant student, right? Being a
Okay.
student
Mhm.
in life in general is a great idea. And that
Mhm.
includes being a student of money and understanding how it all works,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
um and thinking about how we make money decisions more intentionally.
Okay.
And then you've got things like protection. Protection is, for example, what happens if you're the your family is relying on your income,
Yeah, you're the
or
breadwinner.
it could be a spouse, right? Or it could be both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if something happens to one of those people, and what happens, right? Because again, as long as we are here and we're healthy enough to
Mm-hmm.
work, we can go and produce income.
Yes.
But if we lose that ability,
Mm-hmm.
that it severely compromises, our not only our present but our future as well. So
Right.
protection, when I talk about protection, I mean long-term care insurance, life
Mm-hmm.
insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that's like investing pennies today that will become dollars tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So one of the things that I see, and this is a reality for most of us in middle age now, is being in that sandwich generation, right? Kids, elderly parents, and long-term care
Same
is
time.
becoming,
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big thing, right? So for example, um, and I imagine a lot of the audience might relate to this. My mother has dementia.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And it is, I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, who anticipates that? Like,
No.
right? And so
Right.
physically,
It
like
would
she's,
never happen to us, we would say, to ourselves or our
oh
family.
my goodness.
And the other
Exactly. It's
people.
like, no, that's not gonna be, but
Yeah.
you never
Very
know.
good.
You never
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
right?
You know?
But the reality is now we're in a position of having to make plans on her behalf, right? But it's also an opportunity for myself and my siblings to start thinking about, ooh, how
Mm.
can I prepare in the event that
Yes.
something like this happens? So what
Mhm.
does that mean? That means having, some long-term care coverage so that my
Mhm.
kids are not carrying me in my old age, or I'm not uh what do you call it, depending on the government,
Mhm. Mhm.
or having to make those decisions of, oh my God,
Right.
you know, um, so there's that, right? There's estate planning. That's another piece. That's one of the milestones as well. Is
Mhm.
how do I want to make decisions about my legacy and what that's going to be, and
Mhm.
who is going to make decisions on my behalf in the event that I'm not able to do that myself. And having
Yeah.
conversations with our family members about these things, I think is
Mhm.
important. It's unpleasant, to be sure. It's not fun, but it's necessary.
Oh
And
yeah, my mother is 81 and she has all her, she's got the will done, the durable power of attorney, the medical power of attorney, the NDR, the whole, I mean, she's done all these things and she's made very clear what she wants to have happen, when she dies, what we're to do with her and, all that. And I know it's not fun to have those conversations. I mean, no one enjoys those conversations, but do I appreciate this about my mother? I can't tell you how much I appreciate this about my mother because at some point, I may not be able to ask her these questions anymore. She may not be able to answer them, or, and I can move forward as someone who's going to be in charge of things in some of that part of that. And my brother is too and stuff, but is, I can move forward with confidence, knowing I'm honoring what she wants,
mm,
she's got these things lined up. Good job, mom. And I want to be that mom. I want to be that wife. I want to be that person who makes herself clear, tries to set up for any and all scenarios so no one has to be destitute or go crazy with mom has to move in. I mean, I don't want to
yes,
do that. I love these people.
oh my God. And it's true, right? It's such a relief, because I mean, when you lose a loved one, that's a
Yeah.
big deal, right? And so it often becomes compounded by the additional stress of the
Yes.
financial piece, or they didn't have their affairs in order. So what is it that they would have wanted? And then people don't agree.
Oh,
And sometimes there's conflict in the family as a result of all of that. So all of that stuff can be prevented If
Yeah.
we, like you said, right, looking at that experience with your mom, now we go, oh, you know what? Now I know what I need to do differently so that my
Mm-hmm.
children or my spouse or, my loved ones are not in that stressful situation,
Yes.
when that, if and when that comes to pass, right?
Yeah.
So yes, that's another one of the milestones. There's also creating an emergency fund.
Mm.
So now, meaning that, stuff is always coming up, right? The car breaks down,
Yes. The
the puppy got
refrigerator
sick.
doesn't work.
The
Yeah.
what?
The refrigerator doesn't work. We got to go get a refrigerator now. Like,
Right?
now.
Yes, the roof has sprung a leak, and yes, there's insurance for that stuff. And isn't that interesting, right? So often we insure like stuff, well, we don't insure the most important
Ourselves.
asset we got.
Exactly.
But so yeah, but there's going to be a deductible, right? So the deductible, I mean, it could be several $100s, several thousands of dollars, even sometimes. So that is okay. Well, where does that come from? If
Yeah.
there's an emergency fund, it's like, okay, well, I know where I can pull this money from, and I don't have to go into debt
Mm-hmm.
to meet that expense or that unexpected
Yeah.
scenario. And then of course, debt is another one, right? Like, what are we doing to
That's a
help?
milestone. Another one of these milestones you're talking about.
Say it again.
Did you say debt is another one of the milestones you're talking about, like recovering from debt or eliminating debt?
Managing it, like managing
Mhm.
it, because debt is like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
If you
Well, that
look
can't be
away,
good.
not paying attention, now you're gonna get in trouble, right? Or they're gonna get in trouble. So that is like, it just starts, snowballing out of control if
Yeah.
we're not paying attention and we don't actually have a plan or
Mhm.
how we're going to tackle that. Not that debt is a bad thing. I mean, there are some financial folks out there who believe that debt is the devil. I don't happen to believe that. I think that sometimes when we go, I mean, and there's good debt, right? Like
Investments, right? Investments like home.
investments,
Most
right?
of us aren't going to go buy a house, write a check for the whole house, or get educated or trained in some field. Maybe you can't pay that all off on your way, but you have to later or as you go along. Or there's,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
there's a,
working with a coach like yourself, right? That's also an investment. I'm making an investment
oh, for
in
sure.
myself, something
Mhm.
that's going to help me grow and develop myself as a human. And
Yeah.
that is going to translate into me having a higher quality of life. It's going to allow me potentially to, uh,
Yes,
bring more skills to the world, right? And
for
take
sure.
that leap to start that business that I've been dreaming about for 2 decades that I've been too scared
Mhm.
to do, and so those are
Sure.
investments, right? But we want to keep that debt situation kind of managed, right? Making
Of
very
course.
intentional choices about that. And then
Right.
another milestone is thinking about a cash flow.
Mm. Okay.
Most of the time anymore, a one single source of income is not enough.
Yeah.
Right? Even if we have a job, we've seen it over the last several decades that no longer do people go into a company and work for 30,
No,
40 years,
no, no. That's a no, no.
retire with a pension.
Get their
Like,
gold watch at the end and
yes, the watch and all
ta-da,
the things,
good
right?
job.
Um, and again, because we are living longer, that means that we will need more money in the future to live off of,
For sure. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, so there's also the idea of creating multiple sources of income, and especially anything that we can do today. And today
Mhm.
is the best time. I mean, yesterday was the ideal time, but today is the next best.
Today's the
Is
next
what can
best.
we do today to start
Mhm.
creating some passive income sources? In other words, something that will generate income even when I'm not working, even when I'm taking that yummy vacation with my family, or
Mhm.
when I'm taking some time off to look after my mom who's really sick,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example.
Mhm.
So those are the pieces. And then wealth building is the other milestone,
Mhm.
meaning, okay, it's, most of us are familiar with 401ks and having a,
Yes.
individualized, an IRA, individual retirement account,
Mhm.
even Roths. So these are some of the vehicles. There are other vehicles, of course, too. So
Yeah.
part of it is, having um, eggs in multiple baskets.
Yes, a diversified portfolio, so to speak, right?
Exactly, diversified portfolio, and that
Hmm.
may require some help and some guidance. It's
Hmm.
entirely doable now more
Hmm.
than ever. There's great options for that. But it's also the diversification also it has to do with taxes, which is
Mm.
another huge, I would say, oh, well, let's call it a threat to
Factor.
wealth building, right? Because if all the money is sitting in vehicles where the taxes are going to like eat up a big portion of it, then we
Mhm.
probably have a to look at where else can we put money that is more tax advantage. So how can we balance that out? At the end, we're going to always have to pay taxes. That's a
Yeah.
given.
Yeah.
However, there
Yeah.
are things that we can do to help temper that and reduce that, right? Which, wealthy folks, they have had access to all kind of like little loopholes and tools to be able to reduce that, right? So how does your average person do that?
Yeah.
That's also, engaging a professional, it can be helpful there. Looking at
Hmm.
inflation too, because inflation is another one, right? Like when I ask people, okay, how much do you think you'll need in retirement? Most often people say $5,000. Okay, so $5,000 is, well, first of all, depending on where you live in the country, that's going to be, you know,
Right.
uh,
Or,
enough.
or how you like to live or how you want to live or yeah.
Yes, and that's the other.
$5,000 today, though, in 10 years is what? Is that $8,000 in 10 years and $10,000 in 20? Or, I mean, don't listen to me, people. I'm just saying numbers out of nowhere. But
Okay.
but we need to think about average inflation when we're planning for our future, is really what you're getting at, and not
Yeah,
think of dollars in terms of what a dollar's worth today.
exactly. And I'm gonna give you, if I may, a little like practical tidbit right here.
Sure, please.
So this is called the rule of 72. It's a
Okay.
very simple math shortcut that
Okay.
very quickly is going to tell you how long it takes, or I should say, how many years money will take to
Okay.
double based on
Okay.
interest rate. So, for
Okay.
example, and you can do this with inflation as well. So, let's say that, inflation, for argument's sake, I haven't looked it up recently, but let's say it's 4%.
Yeah, it's going down right now, I believe, actually,
And
which is it'll go up and down, up and down, and up and down. Hmm.
exactly. But if we can't necessarily rely on, well, it's always going to be low, right? Because we saw
No.
that
Oh,
during
well, we
COVID,
know
right?
that too. Yeah, we've learned that the hard way the last few years too. It goes up and up and up and up and up sometimes.
And some sectors have a higher rate of inflation. So, for example, healthcare is one of those, right, where it might be higher than the average,
Wow.
um, which of course has significant implications for us. But so
Yes.
what we would do with this rule of 72 is we would take 72 and divide by the interest rate. In this case, since we're talking about the inflation rate and it is a percentage, let's say
Okay.
72 divided by 4, and that
Okay.
gives us 18. So what
Okay.
that tells us is about every 18 years at 4% inflation, every 18 years, the cost of goods and services that we use today is going to double up.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's great. Oh, that is easy. Yeah, that's so easy. Okay.
Right?
So if I'm
And
57 right now, if I am, yeah, I am 57 years old. So when I'm 75, things should cost in general about twice as much as they do right now.
exactly. So
Okay.
that has implications for where we put our money now in terms of savings
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
investing, right? With savings, for example, the typical or average, I should say, interest rate is something like 0.4%. And it's probably not going to, that's high. For your average like savings account.
Okay.
So if we were to do that same formula, 72 divided by 0.4, 180 years.
180 years.
Yes, 180 years. So that's how long we'll have to wait for, your 5K to double up to 10K.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
this is what really like woke me up, right? When I learned this stuff, I was like, okay, I always knew the bank wasn't giving me very much of anything, but that is freaking ridiculous. Like, and back then, back in like 2019 and even beginning, 2020, it was like point zero.
Yeah, it was terrible,
Point
terrible,
zero
terrible.
nine, I think was the average, which is for like 800 years, which is like just unfathomable when you
No,
start thinking
that's
about it.
not going to do us a lot of good, or even our kids, grandkids, great grandkids, great great grandkids, great 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 grandkids.
Exactly, that's what I mean. But so it's, what can you do now to like put your money earning a little bit more? Right now, there are still some high yield savings.
Okay.
So high yield savings is anything above 4% would be great, like 4 or 5%. There are some deals
Okay.
out there. It's just checking it out, right?
Sure.
So that's
Yeah.
going to help grow the money a little bit better. And it's still safe, accessible, all the things, right? But
Okay.
it's looking at these kinds of things. And the same thing, by the way, is true when we're borrowing money, right? Like if you were to do, I think the average is something like 24% now for credit cards. So if you were to take
Oh,
72, divide by 24,
wow.
what do you get? Three. Three. So
Three.
that means
In
that credit card
years.
company, three
Okay.
years, every 3 years, they're doubling up their money, right? So
So
works
in other
out.
words, if someone has $1,000 in debt and they just pay the minimum amount or whatever,
You got
in
it.
3 years they'll owe 3,000, or it'll take 3 years to pay off. No, you
It'll
mean
take 3 years for that debt to accumulate,
to double
double up.
2,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
so,
yeah. Whew, okay. So I think your obvious message, which makes sense, is just get yourself educated. There's plenty of people out there in the world like yourself, banks, financial advisors, brokers, who else? Who should people go to if they're like, my finances, I don't even know. Maybe they even feel good about their finances and they just want to make sure they're really on track. Like, what's the best place for them to find the best person for them, or people or team, or what do you think?
I think, really the bottom line is find somebody that you feel that you can trust, because ultimately
Mhm.
it's about the relationship, right?
Yeah,
The
sure.
reality is that information, it's out there floating about, it's plentiful,
Mhm.
and that alone can be overwhelming because there are, depending on the source, right, you're going to have potentially conflicting
Yeah,
information, and that can be very
sure.
confusing. And what
Very.
that does is it paralyzes people.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So then, it's finding somebody that you feel you can trust. And if you have to meet with several, financial, well,
Mhm.
I would say, my personal bias is like, look for somebody who will take the time to educate you.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, in the industry, the majority of financial advisors, most of what they do is money management, meaning, okay, we're
Mhm.
going to take this investment, we're going to, park this money here, we're going to be periodically checking it, we're going to send you statements. If you want to buy or sell anything, let me know, blah blah blah. But there isn't necessarily a comprehensive picture where, okay, well, what's your long-term care plan? Like if you ever
Mhm.
got into that situation where you couldn't complete all of your activities of daily living on your own and you needed help, how would
Mhm.
you deal with that?
Yeah,
Who would care
yeah.
for you? And how would you pay for that? So those are the kinds of questions that I think it makes sense to ask. So the plan should be a comprehensive plan,
Okay.
and you should be able
Mhm.
to ask questions and not feel stupid.
Yes, because you're looking for expertise in an area where, like we were saying before, like a person like me, I'm not a financial expert. I rely on experts to help me understand, what's best based on what they've grown to understand about me and how I want my life to look now and how I want my future to look, and then help me make wise decisions based on that as best as we can with what we know right now. So not to be afraid of the conversation, like you said in the beginning, like to have the money conversation. If you're involved with finances with someone, you're in a marriage or you're in a relationship where your finances are intertwined with someone else's, not to be afraid to talk about your finances with one another. If you're working on your end of life kind of plans, even if you have no anticipation of dying anytime soon, and you need to have conversations with loved ones who will carry out things or will need to make decisions for you as you go along, have the conversations, get an expertise, some expertise behind your plans so you can feel really secure knowing that you've got some educated people working with you. There was another thing that I thought, we should talk about if in the last few minutes, if you don't mind. And that is that, we're living so much longer and actually income producing years, that whole scenario is kind of different too. And you mentioned to me when we were talking before we got started about a book about longevity. Can you tell us about that briefly and just what you really grab from that resource?
Yeah. So this book, it's it kind of blew my mind. So it's called The Longevity Economy by
Okay.
Dr. Joseph Coughlin, Coughlin, I think.
Okay. The
So he's
longevity economy.
the
Okay.
longevity economy, and he's out of the MIT Age Lab.
Oh,
Not familiar with
interesting.
that one. There's an Age Lab at MIT. Uh,
Who knew?
so yes, and so they've done a lot of studies, around, I guess how to help people as they age, and support them in terms of having quality of life, not just surviving, right? It's not
Yes,
just about like taking your meds and making sure that
eating
you're, what's that?
and eating and have a
And
real
eat, yeah,
Yay, woo!
of course, those things are important. But if that's all we do, we're setting the bar very, very low.
Yeah, that's
And that's actually what he talks about in the book, is how most businesses are totally missing the mark because they are utilizing a concept of the elder population that is completely out of sync with reality and outdated.
mm,
So he talks about how you're 50 plus person, and people even in their 80s and 90s, they want to have quality of life, they want to enjoy themselves, they
of
want to have
course.
independence, they
Yes.
they want to be creative and give and do cool stuff. And
Mhm.
so to the extent that companies wake up to that reality, they're going to experience a massive um, increase in their business. And in addition to that, the
Mhm.
whole the way that we live our lives is going to improve, ideally, because we'll have access to better um, products and services to help us
Mhm. Mhm.
age healthfully, right? And
Mhm.
I love that he says that the future is female and gray. So
Oh.
that is it is me, it is probably like most of the ladies in here, right? It's
Mhm.
because we are in a really unique position, right? In the middle of our lives, we're also in the middle of that sandwich where we are engaging services to help us take care of our elders,
Mhm.
in addition to, we're still looking after our families. And we are in that period of our lives where, that makeover piece, right? Like
Mhm.
we have tremendous economic power. And I don't know if you know this, but there's some $30 trillion that women will be controlling in the next, less than a decade. By the year
Wow.
2030, that's where we're predicted to be.
Really?
So
Wow.
two-thirds of the wealth in the country is going to be controlled by women.
Oh, that oh, that is exciting.
That
I
is exciting. That
I
is
think.
exciting.
Wow.
But we need to know what to do with that money, right? We need to
So, in other words, the upswing, the trend is more women running companies. Is this what you're saying, or more women in government positions, or what are you how is that more women are going to have control over the vast majority of wealth or whatever?
Well, because number one, we have the baby boomer generation,
Mm-hmm.
and those folks are, as they pass on, they're passing on assets
Okay.
to their children and grandchildren. And
Okay.
so those next generations will be essentially inheriting
Okay.
assets that they will be needing help
Mm-hmm.
managing. And,
Yes.
right. And I
Okay.
think in addition to that, women are also waking up to the fact that the power that we have,
Mm. Mhm.
to generate money and to move markets, and we are demanding, more equality in the workplace, having access to higher levels of income, as you
Mhm.
said, right? It's, being more of us in the C-suite. We are educating ourselves now more than ever. We have, like, most actually of the college degrees and the graduate degrees, which means that we have the ability to um, have access to those higher
Yeah.
positions, right? um,
Beautiful.
so there's incredible power right there.
Right.
And again, to the extent that we're making decisions or helping our parents make decisions financially, we're also helping, kind of influencing
Hmm.
that as well.
Awesome. So, so one of the things that's really important is for us to do what we can as a generation to not be shy about our power, our intelligence, our creative spirits,
Oh,
what we can contribute in the world. So companies start to get that, and all kinds of organizations start to understand that, and realizing that, as people get older, it doesn't mean they want less quality of life. It doesn't mean that the standard is just as long as I have groceries and meds, I've hit the jackpot. But rather, we want to provide all kinds of uh, options and services and so forth, and options for people as they age, and really increase that quality of life for everyone. So, and a
exactly.
strong financial life can really, really set us up for that. And so, yeah,
Exactly.
wow,
And also, knowing that we don't have to know all the things,
yeah,
like everything, you have to just commit to learning, ongoing learning. And as you go, you learn more and more. And as Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. And that's
exactly.
how you do it, right?
Yes. So there's no need to turn a blind eye, no matter what you've been through financially, everyone out there, no matter what you've done or haven't done up to this point. Uh, we've all done something or not done something, right? We've all made decisions and we've gone, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or gosh, I wish I would have this or that. That's wasted energy. The important energy is here I am, and I am my own best asset as a human being. And what can I
Woo!
do to contribute to my own life, to my own future, and to make life easier for those that I love, and to really help the world see that aging people are fabulous people. Like the mature
Oh my gosh.
employee is
Yes.
amazing. We have so much wisdom, so much energy, so much to offer, and it can reward everyone in all kinds of ways and all kinds of levels. Well,
Amen, sister.
whew, well, oh my goodness, the time has flown as we kind of guessed it would, Raquel. I think we could have gone on another hour at least.
Totally.
But we won't, everyone. Don't worry. Let me make sure you have the last word. And also feel free to share your main website. But everybody, Dr. Raquel Muller, all her information will be in the show notes, so you can reach out to her. But go ahead and tell them how to find you, or what you have to offer, what you'd like to share with the
Yeah.
audience today.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. It's been so fun being here and having this conversation. I just,
Thank
to
you.
me, this is fun. This is
Yeah, me
great.
too. Thank you.
And I love how you summarized the points that we talked about. That was really
Uh,
beautiful.
good.
You put it together. Yeah, so I'm again a financial educator. I didn't come from finance, and yet, I'm falling in love with this work, believe it or not.
Mm.
Just because I see, how much impact that it has on all our lives, right? And I think that again, it's important to start having these conversations and to continue learning. And speaking of learning, one of the things that I want to share is this right here. Ooh.
Oh, for those of you on YouTube, there's a book right there. And why don't you say the name of it and how they can find that? How Money Works for Women, Take Control or Lose It. Wow. Is this your book?
No, it is not. It was published or written by, so Sharon Lecter is one
Oh,
of
yeah.
the co-authors, and she published some of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books
Oh,
with Ryan
yes. Oh,
Kiyosaki.
yes. Okay.
And then Kim Schooler, who, likewise has a very long career in financial services. She was also an attorney, interestingly.
Mm.
But what I love about this book is that this is what changed my life, I got to tell you, because,
Mm.
the way that it's written, it's very simple,
Very
kind of like a
practical.
cartoon.
Very
And,
cute. Yeah, colorful.
right? It's very colorful. And that's really the crux of it, is making the material very user friendly.
Mm.
You
Mhm.
would think it was for kids, but I mean, of course, kids can pick it up and
Mhm.
easily understand everything that's in there. What I
Mhm.
also love about this particular version of it is that it's all women characters.
Oh.
So throughout the lifespan, so we have somebody who's a 19-year-old and going to college and talking about and thinking about, how am I going to pay for college? And
Mm.
somebody who's getting married, starting a business, all the way to, somebody who's a widow,
Mm.
somebody who unexpectedly divorced in her 60s, somebody
Mhm.
who's in that sandwich, right? Elderly
Yeah.
father, adult son living at home. So all of these, somebody with a special needs child, a domestic violence survivor. So these are scenarios that we women encounter
That's
every
cool.
day. And if it's not
Yeah.
us, it's
That's
our,
real life. Yeah.
right?
That's what's really
Exactly.
going on, right? Yeah. Mhm.
So I love that piece. And so, if that's something that interests you, it's something that I, routinely, when I work with people, I have them have a copy of this book.
Mhm.
And how you can find me, you can go to howmoneyworks.com/Raquel Muller. And that's how you
Okay.
find me. Um,
Excellent. Howmoneyworks.com/Raquel Muller. And
yes,
it's in the show notes. And the book was How Money Works for Women.
take
And
control or lose.
yeah, you can find that, I assume, anywhere. That's it. When I took that class you had, that's where you shared a bunch of really powerful statistics and scenarios. And so that book takes you through different types of scenarios that people are facing in their lives at different ages and stages with financial implications. And so what a nice practical tool that is. And so yeah, definitely go to Raquel's website and see what you can find there that might support you. And wow, I just can't thank you enough for your time and your devotion to empowering women financially and in their lives. I really appreciate that so much. Very gracious of you to give your time to us today. And so I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for giving me this platform. Thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing in empowering women. I'm very passionate about women empowerment in all aspects. So I just love that you're doing this. And ladies, this is our time. So
This is
let's
our
go.
time.
That's right.
Absolutely. And we must lift one another up. And I feel uplifted by having you here today, Raquel. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you who joined us today. And please share this episode if you think it can be useful to someone that you care about in your life as well. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with those that you think would also benefit from what we're doing here. And I will talk to you again soon.